Okay, so welcome. It's January 29th or 30th, depending on where you are. I was just reading Michelle's post before we came on, so we're heading into like a super double bloody blue moon or something.
Yeah. Yes, we are. It's all happening.
It is all happening, and then nothing's going to happen.
Yeah,
Dark. I like that. In my birthday month, it's going to be a very shadowy month.
that, Melissa.
Yes, go over to the shadow side for February.
You know how I like a bit of shadow.
Yeah, go into the dark moon for all of February. No full moon in February.
No, only just
Interesting.
though. Mm.
I found that part very interesting. If you haven't read Michelle's post, you must go read.
Come on over.
Yes,
I will.
I know you all do, so I'll have to let everybody else know about it when I send out Membership Minute tomorrow. So it's not been very long since we've been together, but I thought we'd kind of expand and grow upon what we've been focusing on. We'll start with some grounding and centering, and then I've got a little talk prepared, and then we'll do some 3-part meditation, and you'll have a chance to respond and talk and introduce yourselves and all that in there as well. So let's begin by feeling Kate's moving furniture.
Oh, it's my cats, which is why I'm blacked out because they're running around like crazy. So,
Cats are moving
and then
furniture.
yesterday I fell asleep during class, so I was like, well, if I fall asleep again, at least I'll be blacked out.
Oh,
So.
we like it when people fall asleep. Very good. 3 cheers. Okay. Okay, I'll just mute you then in case your cats decide to. Are they moving furniture?
No, but like my camera, I think when they like run back and forth, it like picks up on the camera. So yeah,
Okay.
they climb on the table.
Okay. All right. So start to connect with the earth underneath you. And feel what qualities are present for you now. Maybe the stability, and the support, the stillness, and the openness, the vastness. And allow those qualities to start to come into your body and your being. And then feel how that support and stability of the earth starts to animate your spine as well, lengthen your spine all the way from the base up through the crown. And it opens up the back of your head, draws your ears back over your shoulders. Let your jaws be soft. And the hollow of your throat, let that be soft too. Your elbows can float underneath your shoulders, not pulling you forward or back. And then feel your breath coming into your lower belly. And then just noticing how the phrases of our mantra land for you today. Remembering that I am intrinsically good without exception, and that I've been given this precious opportunity of my unique life. I find ways to engage in daily practice in my everyday life. When I open to the vastness, stillness, silence, peace, and stability of the earth, that vastness, stillness, silence, peace, and stability opens into my body and being. And remembering that my heart is open, tender, and responsive. I enter into my relationships as part of my everyday life. And then let's just take a moment to connect with our community here today, recognizing the time that we put aside for each other. Both in our circles here, but also for those that will be joining us in the recordings. Also welcoming yourselves back on the recordings as well, because I know many of you do the recordings again during the week. And then we'll shift ourselves into our talk for today. So I know from our conversation last night after the indulgence class that a lot of us have been practicing the 3-part breathing that we began studying last week as a way of preparing for yoga nidra or sleep yoga. And I also know that a lot of us are practicing that simultaneously as well. So that can also be an interesting exploration to explore how those two intersect. As part of preparing for the yoga nidra that's coming, the sleep yoga that's coming in late February, March, we're preparing the ground or creating a container through 3-part breathing. And a lot of you had a lot of really interesting insights around it last night, and I know that I shared a lot of your experiences. And what I've been noticing in practicing 3-part breath in a quite a consistent way over the last week, it's been a practice that has been my companion over the last week for sure, possibly before that too, since I decided to bring it forward. I don't really remember now, though, to be honest. I've really been struck by just how profoundly this breath fortifies the container in which we experience our physical, our mental, our emotional, our energetic, our spiritual, our relational reality. And indeed, my intention for bringing 3-part breath forward at this time was to prepare our container for the yoga nidra or the sleep yoga, which is to come in a few weeks' time. So it's not really surprising to me that this kind of idea of container has come up for me, but it's maybe just surprising to me just how how much it's strengthened the container. I don't know if that's quite the right word. I don't know. Let's think about that. Anyways, I think it's really interesting, and this is something that Michelle and I talked a little bit about, and you can hear it on the recording when we get that out probably tomorrow, but that the intelligence of our body container is something that's been coming up in the 3-part breathing, is that there's this ability of our body's container to be aware beyond our thinking mind and beyond sort of verbal and linguistic explanations. And that's really been coming alive for me in 3-part breath. And it's in this space of awareness or witness. This is something that I think that we are seeking in 10 points practice and earth descent, in our meditation practice in general, but it's a space that we do often overlay with our own thoughts and ideas about things. So this week, while researching Yoga Nidra, I came across this metaphor that really opens up this idea of the container quite beautifully. And so I thought I would share it with you today. So we're going to take it down to the space of our torso, since it's the space of our torso in which we're practicing 3-part breath, the belly, the ribs, and the upper chest. But that's a very kind of limited view of the container too. So you can actually, you can make the container as small or big as you want it. In reality, in your lived reality, the container is the entire universe, right? It's as, and for those of you that study science, and the universe is really beyond our biggest comprehension. So it's every space that we interact with, and it's our relationship with the entire universe, which is why I'm bringing it down to just this container right now, because it's almost too big for us to comprehend. But there was a question this morning, like, well, is the container our head and everything else the thoughts? But no, it's big, right? It's the whole universe, and things coming through it can be our relationships, it's our relationship with the earth. And I think I just want to point out that, when we say our mantra, we're speaking to everything that it is, right? It's our relationship with ourselves. It's our relationship with each other. It's our relationship with the earth. It's all of it. It's the whole thing. That's the container. But here we'll imagine this space of the container, just to bring it down a little bit. And to make it a metaphor too, we're going to imagine the space of our torso container like this 3-part breath, like a giant lobster pot. So those big, huge, almost like soup pots that you can, this is fun. We can have some fun with this. And it's a pot of awareness. It's a pot of awareness. It's like the container of your body. And this pot, this giant pot, has the capacity for anything that you put into it. So if you put potatoes in the pot allows potatoes. The pot has no preference, right? It doesn't go, oh my God, not potatoes, right? The pot is completely unconditional. When you remove the potatoes from the pot, there's no sign that the potatoes were ever there. There's no stain from the potatoes. The pot is just completely ready for the next thing. So maybe carrots. So we put carrots in the pot, and there's a total willingness to receive the carrots, okay? This is a miraculous pot. The pot says, okay, it takes whatever it's put in it, but it's unaffected by what's put in it. If you look in the pot, you might say, oh, potatoes, right? If you look in the pot and you see carrots, you might say, oh, wow, carrots. But you wouldn't say, there's a pot with carrots in it, or there's a pot with potatoes in it. Just like if you were to experience sadness or anger, you wouldn't say, I'm experiencing sadness or I'm experiencing anger. You would say, I'm sad or I'm angry, right? You completely identify with these emotions. So staying with our metaphor of the pot, when the potatoes or carrots are present, they're fully felt and received by the pot, right? You put them in and it may appear that the pot takes on some of those qualities, right? You put them in and you're like, oh, in fact, when you look in the pot, you pretty much mistake the pot for potatoes, right? You say, oh, potatoes, or oh, carrots. But when they're gone, there's no sign of it. In fact, this is a miraculous pot. You don't even have to clean it. You say, oh, it's a pot. It's ready to receive the next experience. And so this is the same as we'll use our torso. Any emotion can fill this container, or any thought process, or any energetic experience, or any relationship can pass through. It can be fully felt and allowed to be, right? And some are going to last longer and be more impactful. And it's, it's an experience that's present. Some are going to be maybe a little more scary, but it's an experience that's present. And when the experience is present, it's allowed to come in. And when it goes, it goes. So the thing is, as human beings, we forget about this miraculous pot, the miracle of the container. So we can pretend for a moment that we're cooking spaghetti in this miraculous pot, right? So what happens is you lift the lid, and you probably don't say, wow, here's this amazing pot again with spaghetti inside. What you say is, oh, wow, spaghetti. I love spaghetti. Or a lot of times you say things like, I can't eat spaghetti because I'm gluten intolerant. I have IBS. I don't eat nightshades, and I'm carb free, right? You go into this whole story and we get all caught up in the contents, and we forget about the container, right? And when we lose, and all that might be true. I'm not saying if you can't eat spaghetti. I'm not saying that. Pay attention to your body. But when we lose awareness of our container, we become identified with the contents. We forget that we are this space through which sadness or anger or frustration or hurt or boredom or just excitement. We had a fascinating discussion about depression this morning. And it's not to say that these things can't be quite serious. It's true. These experiences move through. And oftentimes we think we're the contents. We think, this is me. I'm spaghetti. I'm spaghetti forever. I'll never be anything other than spaghetti for my whole life, right? I'm sad. I'm angry. I'm hurt. I'm depressed. I'm fill in whatever the blank is. I'm anxious. I'm stressed. And we believe ourselves to be it forever and ever, amen, never to be anything else. So we lose sight of the ground of being. We lose sight of the container. And we become completely identified with the experience. And we forget the limitless, the eternal, the unchanging, the unconditional, the allowing source. And we become locked into completely identified with worry or fear, anxiety, depression. But these conditions, they're constantly changing, sometimes slower, sometimes more quickly. And when I say slowly, sometimes slowly can be over years. And these changes gather and dissolve, right? So the confusion is between the container, this miraculous, never staining pot, and that which moves in and out of the pot, right? This is the source of suffering. Sometimes there's carrots in the pot. Sometimes there's potatoes in the pot. Sometimes there's depression in the pot. Sometimes there's sorrow in the pot. Sometimes there's success in the pot. Sometimes there's failure in the pot. But we're not success. We're the pot. We're not failure. We're the pot. And it's not that the contents of life disappear ever. The pot never gets to retire from cooking in this life. But our perspective from which they are experienced can change. because this is a miraculous pot. Like this is like good news. This is basically a self-cleaning pot that never needs to be cleaned. Anything that gets cooked in it, anything can get cooked in it. Nothing affects the miracle of this pot. Nothing damages it ever. No matter what is moving through it, there's always this limitless, eternal, unchanging, unconditional, allowing, wide open space in which we can experience it. And those are the words that we say when we first come every time, remembering that I'm intrinsically good. That's the pot, the intrinsic goodness, right? Carrots, great. Potatoes, great. Spaghetti, great. Depression, no problem. Intrinsically good. So that's just what I've been reflecting on in terms of practicing a breath that's bringing a lot of awareness to the container. So I'll hand it over to you so you can introduce yourselves and respond. And then we'll go into the breath practice itself.
Well, I'm Betsy from Georgia, and this is an interesting concept to me. I understand what you're saying. The pot I've always thought of is stained with life experiences, but you're talking about a different pot and a different, beyond that, refreshing, and that's an interesting metaphor.
Kyla from North Carolina. I kept thinking toward the end of your talk, the word stainless. The intrinsic being is stainless, regardless of what experiences pass through it or what it does or doesn't do. Fundamentally, it's stainless. And I as I was listening, I found myself identifying the pot as consciousness. Consciousness, which is, all those things that you described. Magic never needs to be cleaned and holds all of whatever happens. Yeah, I like that metaphor. It's very handy.
Yeah, so Reggie would call it pure awareness, right?
Choiceless awareness is another phrase that I've heard that resonates with me in relation to this. Nice. Took me somewhere.
Yeah, I think it speaks to having trust in the container, and that you don't need to do anything to the container.
Right.
Maintain it or fuss over it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it speaks to the flow of life. Come in, stick around for a while, leave.
Michelle's just pretty much put every magazine cosmetics company and out of business.
My work here is done.
Pharmaceutical vitamin company.
Just kill everyone. But it is hard to accept that. When you're in the pit of grief or depression, or these very immediate, all-consuming emotions and states, it is so hard to trust the container. that's why we practice and
Yeah. 'Cause
train.
we forget again and again and again. Because it is so easy to identify and forget and think, oh my God, I'm a carrot. I'm going to be a carrot for the rest of my life, right? It's easy to make a joke about it, but it happens like often.
Yeah. It's like if I start to think now I am whatever the emotion presents itself, and I will always be that. Well, there have been plenty of times in my life when I felt one thing and thought that was forever, and it's changed. So
Yeah. I'm thinking, like, to use the metaphor, and it's not to say that certain things in our lives aren't intense, right? I think even certain things that you cook in the pot can be, pretty intense and take a long time to clean up, right?
I get what you're saying. It made me think of when my mother passed away. I was in really very tangible grief for a long time, maybe a year or two.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point in the future, maybe 5 years, I didn't feel that grief. And I remember being surprised one time that I could think of her without the pain, and kind of went back in my head like, well, when did that happen?
Mm-hmm.
But it's an example of the pot being clean.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly it. And I think we all have things like that in our lives where, we've gone through intense periods, either mentally or emotionally, energetically, and it feels like it's just how our life is going to be. And we may even be in a period like that right now. And yet we know too from our own life experience, because I think most of us have enough life experience at this point that we have traversed enough territory that things do pass, things do shift and change.
yeah, life experience does tell me that, but there is something different about having meditation practice. I just have a lot more trust that will happen.
Yeah.
It's not intellectual.
Yeah.
It's not like self-help book type stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Tick off, well, okay, this is this phase and that one, and it's just much more different, much more felt.
Yeah, and so I guess that's why this metaphor, the container, really worked well for me, because there's practicing the 3-part breath. Are any of you else who've been practicing this 3-part breath over the last week getting this sense of a strong container?
Yeah,
definitely. That's how I felt. I mean, it feels, I've been doing it all week. I'm getting a greater sense of my breath in my torso, and the container that even when, I've been practicing the yoga nidra too, so you can really feel into it, practicing the 3-part breath. You really have a sense of your container. I mean, it feels a little different for me since I started doing that. And to your talks, sometimes it's really hard to let go of those stories that you tell yourselves, I'm going to be this, and that's what you are. I mean, sometimes it's really hard to let go of that. And with time, everything changes. That's my experience.
And I do it to other people too. Like, I'm going to be this, and you're going to be this.
That's the classic example of being in a family.
Yeah.
I was talking about family.
As a grown person, you come back into the home and you're immediately in this box. And you're like, I'm not in that box. And like, oh, yes, you are. You're like, no, I'm not. No, really, you are. And it's like, where's the reality here?
Yeah.
Exactly.
When people put you in that box because that's who they think you are, but you've changed from that person to this person, but they don't see that. They just see this box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you can fight against it pretty hard, but they don't see, they don't see you out of a box.
No, they don't. No, they don't. I find that in my family. I mean, they see me as this person that I was 30 years ago. I mean, I'm not that person I was 30 years ago. I am a completely different person, but they still see that person. It's like, nope. It's hard to I think it's hard to let go of that too. Like we see people in a certain way and it's hard to change that.
Yeah. We have a snapshot of them.
I was just going to bring up that one. That's such a good, I try my best not to have a photograph in time of somebody, but to open to what's in front of me each time. To see how much suffering it causes to
It does.
bring your idea of somebody along.
Yep, it does.
Yeah. Which is essentially why we're doing these practices, right? To drop the overlay.
Drop the BS, basically. Just
Yeah.
That's what I find for me. Just drop it all.
Yeah, and open to the experience that's actually unfolding.
The 3-part breath has the effect to me, if I'm thinking of anxiety. If I'm walking into a situation, I'm anxious, it's like I'm streaming out and I've got a lot of static around me. And it has the sensation to me that I'm kind of, I would use the word grounded, but brought back and focused and calmed. Is that the ballpark of what we're doing? I'm not actually thinking in terms of containers as much as gathering and calming my mood or energies as I'm walking into a situation. And it does seem to have a really nice effect for that. I'm grateful for it.
So that could definitely be an outcome of 3-part breath. And I know a very positive outcome that I've experienced from 3-part breath too. I think 3-part breath can open up a lot of experiences. And we've talked a little bit about the different areas of the body that you're entering into, with the lower belly, this is the same area that you're breathing into with yin breathing. So it's the foundation of all being in that area of pure awareness, that ground, this ground that's very open and defies explanation, that kind of mysterious ground of awareness. What did you call it, Kyla?
Choiceless
awareness. Yeah, it sort of defies that explanation, and yet it's the ground of all being. So it's quite foundational in that sense. So you've got that sitting at the very bottom, and then you come up into the rib cage, and you come into something that is much closer to the surface, and it's the seed of expression, the seed of emotionality, so you're really getting in touch with the complex, multi-layered intermingling of all the emotional tone of the body here. And then when you come up into the upper chest, you're very much tapping into this seat of expression here, the birthplace of expression. So there's a lot to connect with and to explore here with 3-part breath. And that was something that we talked about as we were closing out this morning in the morning meditation, was to more be open and curious about what it would like to what it would be like to get to know this breath practice rather than to use it in a there are definitely utilitarian benefits of this practice, right? It's a great one if you wake up and you can't fall back asleep, because it has that benefit of being quite grounding and soothing in that way. And like you said, you find it helps to call your energy back to yourself and calm anxiety too. And then it can be just this space that allows you to get to know so much about yourself, and also the way you're relating in the world and with all of it too, right? There's so much here that can be explored. And there was a student this morning too who popped right into the entire, when you do pure awareness practice and you come up and out and you can drop into the whole field of awareness, she did in 3-part breath. So the entire practice is there for you too. It makes sense, right? You're clearing the channel. You're clearing the central channel. So it makes sense that you can open right up into that, which Reggie would call the pure awareness, but Kyla would call choiceless choice.
Choiceless awareness.
Choiceless what?
Awareness.
Choiceless awareness, yeah. That one's not landing for me, but yeah.
Yeah, I think about the chakras too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're getting them all.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Not really the crown, but
No.
But you could expand it all the way up and boom, off you go. Yeah. So it's really powerful, and there's a lot here. So should we practice it then? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's do that then. So go ahead and rest back. Yeah, so the 3-part breathing, it opens up our experience, it opens up our awareness, it allows us to be aware from the inside. It lets us get to know our emotional landscape on a deeper level. And the other thing that I really have been noticing too is that it does give a lot of energy to the birthplace of expression. So that can be quite powerful as well. It's a really powerful gateway into our feeling body, into our interpersonal body, and into our cosmic body. Everything is here for you, really. So as you lie down on your back, with your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor, let your body sink and relax. Feel the support of the earth underneath you. And just notice how your body releases its tension. And we'll do a short 10 points before we do the 3-part breathing to release tension from your body. So open your awareness into your feet, becoming aware of any tension in your feet. And notice when you bring your awareness to the tension that it releases down and into the earth. And then open your awareness into your lower legs, from your knees down through your ankles, feeling the sensations in your shin bones and your calves, into the interior of your lower legs. Letting that tension slide down through your lower leg, through your feet, and into the earth. And then feel your buttocks resting on the earth. Notice any gripping and holding, and the tension in your pelvis. Feel the tension in your pelvis and your upper legs, from your knees down through your hip bones. Let that tension slide down through your upper legs, through your pelvis, and into the earth. And then feel your mid back where it touches the earth beneath your sternum. Opening your awareness to tension in the lower back and belly, the lower torso. Letting that tension release into the ground. Then feel your shoulder blades on the earth. Feel the tension in the shoulder blades. And up through the layers of the chest. Let that tension slide down through your backs of your shoulder blades and into the earth. And then feel your elbows heavy on the ground. Let the tension from your shoulders and the back of your neck, the front of your neck, the hollow of your throat slide down through your upper arms, through your elbows and into the earth. And then feel the tension from the joints of your fingers, the palms of your hands, your wrists, and your forearms. And let that drain down through your elbows and into the earth. Okay, and then opening your awareness into your head as a feeling place, feeling tension around the eyes, the eyebrows, the temples, and the forehead. The tension of the brain. And the cheekbones, the chin, the jaws, and the throat, the occipital ridge, the scalp. Letting all of that soften. Feeling the tension go down through the back of your head and into the earth. With your hands on your lower belly, your elbows heavy on the earth, you're going to pick a point midway between your navel and your perineum towards the back of your body. And begin breathing into your lower belly. Fill your belly, fill your lower belly as you breathe in. And feel your lower belly deflate as you breathe out. So you're breathing with attention and intention into your lower belly. Feeling your lower belly puff out as you breathe in. Feeling your lower belly collapse as you breathe out. If the image of a balloon inflating and deflating is helpful, then you can follow that image as you breathe in and out of your lower belly. As you breathe into your lower belly, notice where there's tension. Allow that tension to soften. Let your breath slow down. Allow your breath to come in a long, slow, gentle, even way. And when your lower belly is full, let your breath flow out very gently and evenly. Remember to breathe towards the back of your lower belly. You can feel your breath applying a gentle pressure against your sacrum. Towards the back of your lower belly is a point of great potential awareness, consciousness. And you can touch in on it most easily from the back of the spine. Allow your breath into your lower belly to be expansive. You can take in a lot of air here, never to the point of discomfort or tension, but just see how much your lower belly can expand, how much space you can create here in your lower belly. And as you breathe into your lower belly, allow yourself to relax your whole body. Notice how there's a big space opening up in your lower belly through your breathing. This is a space that's filled with awareness. Our lower belly opens up our relationship with the earth, our sexuality, what's basic and fundamental to us. So as we breathe into this space, we're opening up a lot here. So just notice what's arising for you as you breathe into the space of your lower belly. Notice what experiences are coming up for you. And notice how the space in the lower belly is expanding. Space, experience, relaxation, contentment, all within the space of the lower belly. In the space of the lower belly, we find the contentment of being rather than feeling and expressing or doing or thinking. And then move your hands up to your lower rib cage, with your elbows heavy on the ground. The lower ribs at the bottom of the rest bone. And now you're going to breathe under the bottom of the breastbone. Breathe so that you're lifting the bottom of the sternum. And as you breathe out, feel how that breath out lets the sternum fall back. You're filling the entire cavity behind the bottom of the breastbone. And again, maybe the image of a balloon is helpful to you, filling as you breathe in, deflating as you breathe out. So you're taking a full breath. And your full breath is pushing up the bottom of the breastbone. It's opening the lower ribs out to the side. And you can even feel it opening up the back ribs. Can let your breath be quite full, again, not to the point of discomfort or tension. Notice the different experience of breathing into the mid-chest. As you breathe fully into the mid-chest, there's a lot here to experience. The emotionality, the feeling sensation is a lot closer to the surface. And you can be right with those feeling sensations. You can follow it as you breathe in. And continue to follow it as your breath goes out. So notice what it feels like as you breathe in and out. Feeling the emotional sensation of your breathing as you breathe into the mid-chest. Your mid-chest has to do with feeling. Your personal feelings are much closer to the surface in the mid-chest. The lower belly feels much deeper, much more grounded. You can get more lost in the lower belly. But here, there's a sense of impending emotionality. This is a space that's giving birth to feeling. Allow yourself to notice that. Feel the fullness and the intensity of the experience here. And again, notice the interior space that's being created with your breath here. Feel how big the space is. And notice how close to the surface the sensation is. It can be a little intense, a little edgy. It can be quite complex. There's many layers and levels of feelings. You can really feel them. You can really sense into them. And then take your fingertips and place them on your collarbones. Move your elbows up closer to your armpits. And breathe right up under the collarbones. As you breathe into the upper chest, you're going to lift those collarbones as much as you can. And this requires some effort, some exertion. Notice the way the collarbones fall back as you breathe out. And you're feeling with your fingers to make sure you're lifting your collarbones as you breathe in. It's a very full breath. Taking in as much breath as you can. And totally letting go as you breathe out. And again, notice the distinct feeling of breathing into the upper chest compared to breathing into the mid chest or the lower belly. Your upper chest is the birthing place for expression in the throat. And so as you breathe into your upper chest, you may begin to feel an impending expressivity. A feeling that you might give birth to expression. You might express your feelings. You're breathing into the birthing place. Not the speech center. And again, the image of the balloon, inflating the balloon, can be helpful 3-dimensionally. because we're creating a big space here. To the front, along the collarbones, along the sides, underneath the armpits, going back to the spine as you breathe in. It's a big, big space. It's probably the widest space of the container. It's probably the biggest space volume-wise of the container. Breathe along the collarbones, to your shoulders, into your armpits, to the back of the spine, to the back of the shoulder blades. It's a big, big area to fill with breath. And you can even feel your breath rising up into your neck, coming up into your speech center. I'm feeling this from the inside, a whole new experience of breathing into this area that maybe hasn't felt breath movement for a very long time. Kind of clearing out the cobwebs. And then bring your hands back down to the lower belly. And we're going to connect all three areas and experience a flow between them. So begin by breathing into the lower belly and then into the mid-chest and then into the upper chest. Feel the fullness of your breath. Pause there for a moment and then let go. You can keep doing this on your own. Lower belly, mid chest, upper chest, pausing, feeling the fullness, and then following the breath as the breath goes out of your body. And then feel the interior space of your body. Lie quietly and feel your whole body. Okay, when you feel ready, you can come back to our circle. So the one thing that I'm noticing after this practice is that how much the holding in the face, the way we hold our faces, changes after. So I think is a good thing, that's that letting go of identity, the way we hold ourselves. Any thoughts or questions about your experience today?
Hi, I'm Kate. My cat settled down, so I thought I would at least pop in at the end. They're all asleep now. My experience with the practice, I haven't done the 3-part breath before. I didn't do the recordings, and so this was like a weird meditation. I didn't not connect with my energetic body at all, which is really unusual for me. And with the breathing in the ribs and then at the collarbone, I didn't get it. I couldn't feel it in the lower belly and everything. I was doing fine. I was feeling fine. I was my eyelids were really heavy. And then as we crept our way up, I couldn't stay with it, and I couldn't feel the breath in my body. I couldn't feel my ribs expand, and I couldn't feel my collarbone expand. And then that kind of I kind of fell out of the meditation. And so I ended up just kind of laying there relaxing for the basically the whole back half. So yeah, very interesting meditation for me. So I'm kind of anxious to maybe try it more throughout the week and kind of see how it goes again a few more times around.
Are you tired right now? Like, did you have a full day?
I was tired before, like when I came to this, but I actually feel a little bit better now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
This practice, it's like, I would say, compared to like Earth Descent or 10 points practice, it's like aerobics. Do you know what I mean? Like if 10 points is restorative yoga and maybe Earth Descent is like, okay, so maybe 10 points would be like yin and Earth Descent would be like restorative yoga, then this is like an aerobics class. Yeah. So if you were tired, maybe your body was like, no.
Yeah. Maybe, yeah. Yeah.
Because I've also had that an experience with this breath where I lie down and my body's like, yeah, no, I'm not feeling my middle chest and my upper chest. And I can't, and also in my lower belly, just like going through the personal experience right now in my life where I'm really not trusting life a lot right now and can't feel that part of my body. Or feel the depth of that area that I know is possible from past experience too.
Right.
So I know that there is a lot of different experience possible for this breath.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was taking these big, I was like,
yeah,
like, I want to feel it. Is it there? You know, but yeah.
I'd like to chime in here because last week I had a similar experience to yours, Kate, in that I could do it with the collarbones, but it was very hard to make them move. And I kept feeling like I couldn't get enough air and I kept yawning. And so this week, I haven't been practicing the other parts. I've been just working on this so that I can get to where I can actually breathe into this part of me. And so this evening, I had a great deal of distraction because my internet kept cutting out during the first half. And I figured out what to do to make it stable, but I couldn't hear, I would, is she talking? Did it go away? And I kept having to look and go, should I leave?
And then there's the long pauses. Is that a pause or did my internet drop?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was already very distracted, but interestingly enough, in spite of that, getting into the actual breath practice was wonderful. And I come out of it just feeling, my body was, I could feel the currents flowing through my whole body. It was wonderful. During the middle part of the breath, I had some very sharp pains in my back. And I almost got up to try to do something about it, but just moving my arm relieved it enough that I was able to stay, and then it went away. So I don't know what that was. It stopped. So I stopped being concerned about it. And the subtler experiences in all three parts were just, there was a lot, and I can't even remember a lot of it. So very rich this time, very rich. I'm definitely going to be doing more of this. When I first dabbled in yoga, when I was, I think, 16, back in the dark ages, I had a book that showed diagrams of the breath in either the belly and the mid chest and the upper chest and the waveform of the breath. And you were supposed to learn to breathe in this way. And I remember doing it then, and then over the years, other ways of breathing came predominant, and I got into the habit of doing nothing but belly breathing. So I've been doing belly breathing for years and thinking, well, that's it, and not even thinking about this part. So all of this is like this whole new set of layers to it. And when I got up to the collarbones this time, it was so liberating. I mean, I started to feel like I was beginning to float. It was awesome. I totally didn't expect that, in spite of all the distractions and interruptions I'd had leading up to it. So anyway, this was a good one for me. Very enjoyable.
Yeah, it's really powerful. You've really put it into words quite well, Kyla. I really appreciate it. I want to let's see here. I do want to, because it is quite challenging to breathe right up into that upper chest area. Let's just take a look, because it is Fascia February in a couple of days. Let's just take a look at a couple of the foam roller videos that I think, are they really like a year old now? They are. Wow. They feel new still. But these videos, these shoulder release videos here, and they're super short, but you may have forgotten about them. Maria's like, no, I didn't forget about those.
I do them all the time.
I do them all the time. They get right, see where they get right into here?
I actually do that one a lot because of I have arthritis in my right shoulder, and that one really helps. That one and the one that rolls underneath.
Yeah, really this one, the keyboarding texting one too.
That's great too.
That one is a really good one. Like this one was the one I shared outside of the, oh, you can't tell where it is based on that key, that thumbnail.
Yeah, good.
But this was actually the one that I shared outside of the membership community, because I thought it was the best one of the whole series. It had the most impact. And see how it's getting right into this area that we're trying to breathe into. And if you think about fascia as being all connected, right? We start releasing this fascia in here, you're going to be able to breathe into this. This was something that I also realized here when we were breathing, okay? You're breathing into this belly part here, okay? It's actually quite narrow. And then you're breathing, this is actually a quite narrow part of your body. And then look at this area up here. Look how wide it is and broad, and there's a lot more area here to fill. And even like, okay, if we're looking collarbones, to me, it's like, there's just a huge area to fill here with air. It's wide, it's deep, it goes way back. So that's a really good one too to take a look at. I'm pretty sure there's 3 shoulder videos in here.
Yeah, there's 3 of them.
The 2, 3, and 4. Yeah.
Yeah, I do those in all together.
All together.
Yeah,
that's a good idea. Oh yeah, see there.
Yeah, that one there.
They all put the foam roller just slightly different way. So I know I do the upper back one, the upper back hydration one all the time. I know that one off by heart. These ones I kind of let fall by the wayside. And yet, if you look at the way that everything we do is in front of us, it's this part of our fascia that's, when we talked about it last night in the indulgence class, it's more like we've got those cross patterns and are wrapping more around here. And that's what causes it to be probably tight and painful back here. So if we attend to it here, you're going to get that corresponding release back there. And also then it's going to be easier to breathe into it up here. So I would think those 3. Damn, there's nobody here from the DYC right now.
You also have one, I think it's a morning one that you would do with the slow-mo ball.
Yes.
You do on your chest. Yeah.
Let's take a look at that one right now too.
So you do the belly and then you do the
oh yeah, that's 3-part breathing right there, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that one is in the morning sequence section. And that's storing your energy for the day, right?
Mm-hmm. I think that's that one. It's like 20 minutes. It's a really good video.
Yeah. Yeah, you start with the ball here under your belly.
Mm-hmm.
And then you move it.
I know you roll like all this here too.
Where? Oh, you guys aren't, I'm not even sharing the screen. I'm like showing myself. Okay, here we go. Yeah, okay, so you get up into the chest, but before that, you're down here on the belly.
Yeah.
And then you get all up into the chest. And does it go into the side ribs?
Yeah, no, not the side rib here, but it goes into the sides here, so it's good. Yeah.
I think there's a postures and pranayama. I think
Yeah,
might
there
be
is.
square breath where we do the side ribs.
Side ribs.
Yeah.
Postures.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where that one is then. Square breath.
Yeah,
I think
pretty sure.
you're
You're
right.
probably right.
Yeah. It's when you're outside.
Yeah.
Okay, this is good. So that is in the posture and pranayama section, the videos, and then that would be square breath.
I think it's
Yeah, it has the slow-mo ball in it.
yeah,
There it
that's the
is.
one.
Yeah, that's it.
There it is right there.
Yep.
Yeah, so you can just
yeah.
stick that ball right underneath there. It's nice. Nice and loose. Not too it doesn't, like, it's not as hard as the foam roller.
No, you can really get into the side ribs really well.
That was so hard. Look at that hill, how much it goes down.
I know.
Oh, Tim's like, oh, it's almost time to go outside again. I'm like, all the uneven surfaces and everything. Anyway. We've gone way over. Does anybody else have anything that people want to say? Things? Okay. Kept you for a long time. There's some good classes to practice, though, to open up that space, because it is difficult. It is very difficult to breathe up in here. This area is very tight, no doubt, for most people. I think.
And when you can't get breath in there, it starts to feel really grippy, and I find sometimes a little bit panicky. I can't get breath in.
Yeah. That little feeling. I've had that too.
So that'd be, especially if I'm thinking for people who've got asthma or some sort of lung issue, might be a bit.
And I know for me too, the only way I was able to breathe into my low belly was because of that slow-mo ball.
Yeah, me too.
That was the only thing that opened up that area for me. That area was just so habitually held, like, and I know it's just like, I think it was just the cultural norm of just sucking in my stomach for so many years.
Yeah.
And that slow-mo ball really just helped me to release that holding there. So, okay, thank you. I've kept you all so long. But yeah, and I encourage you to be curious about this breath, get to know this breath, and have a relationship with it, and notice how it unfolds over time. Yeah, because it's different from day to day. Okay. Have a great night and have a good day, Michelle. And I'll see you all on the forum. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Namaste.